Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Cardfight Vanguard Luquier deck profile for post Minerva Rising, one of the 3 encounter decks we received from the Set 8 Cardfight Vanguard Overdress booster set. The Pale Moon Circus has finally returned to Cardfight Vanguard in D format. With Luquier, we have a bunch of other cards from her Circus lineup reintroduced into the series as well. The playstyle is still very similar to the original Luquier, being able to call out different grades from your soul using her, and every time just being able to reset those cards at the end of your turn back into your soul for you then to call out again the next turn. Very happy with the results of the deck using some of the support we had from set 6 additionally in this deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the ride deck, our starter is Silverthorn Assistant Ionella. The standard when wrote upon, if you went second, draw a card. Our grade 1 is Silverthorn Assistant Irina. When this unit is wrote upon by a unit with only Pale Moon for its clan, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 card from among them, put into your soul, and shuffle your deck. So it's just soul set up for you to use later on. And when this unit is placed on rear guard, if you have a Vanguard with Luquier and its card name, you may soul charge 1. Just more soul charge power when you can call out Irina from your soul to rear guard. Our grade 2 is Silverthorn Marionette. Liliane, when wrote upon by a unit with only Pale Moon for its clan, soul charge 1, and choose a card from your soul and put it into your hand. So if you soul charge something like a trigger unit or a sentinel, you can at least put that card back into your hand, not having any limitations with what you can call out for this unit. We are also running for our main go-to grade 3, Silverthorn Dragon Tamer, Luquier, our main go-to grade 3 in the deck, along with the copy that we are running in the ride deck for Luquier. Since we do have the Persona Ride option with all of the encounter decks, we are also running 3 additional copies of this card. On Vanguard, once per turn, you can counterblast 1, put a card from your hand into your soul, choose up to 3 unit cards with different grades from your soul, call them to rear, and if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, those units called get plus 5,000 to end of turn. So this just plays homage to Luquier's original limit break skill, being able to call out a grade 0, grade 1, grade 2, and a grade 3. Being able to call out 3 units means we can hopefully at least call out a grade 1, a grade 2, and a grade 3 onto the field to give you a booster for either the grade 3 or the grade 2, and then placing the other unit in an additional column for your rear guards to set up almost a full field to use against your opponent. And then at the end of your turn, you put 2 rear guards into your soul to draw a card. So giving you draw power while also being able to protect some of those other grades you put into the soul, depending on what you may also have in your soul already to begin with. So if you have, let's say, another grade 2 in your soul to use next turn, you can at least leave the grade 2 out for an interceptor and put the grade 1 and 3 back into your soul. For the other grade 3 that we run in the deck, I also run 3 copies of Circulate Acrobat Urgeti, with this card being more of an option for when it's placed on rear from soul by the ability of your Vanguard with Luquier and its card name. You can soul blast 1 and countercharge 1. So the more you have your soul build up, at least you can make up with it by being able to get back some of your counter blasts with this card. We're running for it so we have more of a target to call out from the soul as well. For our grade 3s, since our other grade 3, we want to save for Persona Riding in the deck and just making up for it with the soul blast. So we have some unnecessary cards in our soul like triggers. We can at least soul blast them for our Circulate Acrobats. Moving on now to the grade 2s, along with the copy of Liliane that I am running in the ride deck. I'm running 3 additional cards for this unit. When it's placed on rear guard or put on guard circle, if you have a Vanguard with Luquier and its card name, it gets plus 5,000 power and shield plus 5,000 until end of turn. So just an additional shield power and power on the rear guard if you were to call it from Luquier's own skill. And you already have one set up in the soul thanks to the ride deck for you to call out. And for the other grade 2 that I run in the deck, I run 3 copies of Silverthorn Rising Dragon. I could potentially run 4 of this in the deck. When it's placed on rear, put a card from your hand to the soul to draw a card. It just helps to build up more soul power. You could potentially also set it up in your soul with some of the other cards we run in the ride deck. But during your turn on rear guard, if you have a Vanguard with Luquier and its card name, and 2 or more of your units were placed on rear guard from soul this turn, this unit gets plus 10,000, and if it's 4 or more replaced, it gets plus 10,000. So having a true powerhouse, it's one of the grade 2s you'll definitely want to place back into the soul using Luquier if it's one of the cards you call out, or if it was already called out thanks to it. But just being placed on rear guard, it can be placed from hand, it can be placed from when it's in your soul, you name it. You'll have the setup to put a card from your hand into the soul and then just draw out another card. Moving on to the grade 1s from set 6, I'm running 4 copies of Falcate Performer. With this card, when it boosts on rear guard, choose up to 1 card from your hand or from your drop zone, and if your soul does not have a card with the same name as that card, put it into your soul. So if one of your other cards gets, retired from your rear guard, let's say you intercept with it, or if it's just in your drop zone because you never got to soul charge it to begin with, you can use Falcate Performer to at least set that card back up into your soul for you to reuse. Just a great option for a soul buildup, just having to boost to do so. So it can be a card you potentially soul charge or just call out from your hand for you to utilize. I also run 3 copies of Silverthorn Breathing Dragon for another grade 1 option. When placed on a back row rear guard from Soul, if you have a Vanguard with Luquier its card name, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your Vanguards, and it gets on Vanguard continuous. All your front row rear guards get plus 5,000 till end of turn. So it's just another way to boost the power of your rear guards. If you use Luquier's own skill, you will give them plus 5 thanks to her. If you Persona Ride, you have the additional plus 10 from that. So you can use your Silverthorn Breathing Dragon, and if you called out both of the units from Luquier to the front row, to have a total power of 20,000 to use against your opponent. If you use Rising Dragon's own skill on rear guard, that's even more and more power built up, plus 40,000 in total for this one grade 2. And then for the last of the grade 1s, 1 copy of Luquier Songster. With this card, when placed on rear from Soul until the end of turn, this unit gets plus 5,000. And on rear, when this unit attack boosted hits, put this unit to your soul and draw a card. So if you wanted to put 2 of the other rear guards you called out, you could potentially just have pressure with this card being plus 5,000. And if the attack that it boosted hits, being able to put it back into the soul again just for a draw, just like you would with your other 2 units that you put back with Luquier. And then for the grade 1 finish, 4 copies of Repelled Malice Dragon, just the Sentinel of choice. If you have Elementaria Sanctitude, you can take out 1 copy of this card for a copy of that Blitz order. And then for the orders that we run in the deck, 4 copies of Hurry and Join Silverthorn Servant. This is the order specifically made for Luquier. Can be played from the soul and played with Counterblast 1 if you have a Vanguard with Luquier and its card name. So if it's a potential soul charged card, you can still use it from your soul, which is very, very awesome. And choose one of your rear guards, and it gets rear guard when your Vanguard attacks. Put this unit into your soul. Choose a card with only Pale Moon for its clan grade less than or equal to your Vanguard from your soul, and call it to rear until end of turn. So for those of you that remember Purple Trapezist, that is what this order gives a rear guard on your soul, being able to set it up by placing into the soul and calling it back out again. It's an homage to Purple Trapezist or even Nightmare Doll Alice. What the Pale Moon Circus was known for was calling cards out of the soul, placing them back in, and then just calling them back out again. The multiple shows that the deck was meant to do. The last of the orders is just 1 copy of Gradius Gradel. Like all soul charge decks, you have risk of soul charging your main go-to grade 3, so having an additional answer for Persona Riding in the form of a normal order is always useful. For our trigger lineup, we're running 7 criticals, so 4 copies of Lively Breath Dragon and 3 Flinty Slasher. If you have the ability criticals, you can just replace 4 copies of this card for it in the deck, with our draw trigger being Rouse Wildmaster Riley. I would say very fitting for a Pale Moon Circus deck as a trigger, and then just an extra bonus having the plus 5k shield. And then lastly, just to fit the aesthetic of the heals in the deck, 4 copies of Direful Doll Alexandra. If you have the ability heals, you can always replace 2 copies of these heals for 2 copies of those, with our over trigger being Gamalgaheld for the additional pressure that can provide early on to the Vanguard. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. This is just one of the other encounter decks we have from the set. We just got this Dark States deck, and we're going to be getting another one soon as well in the form of Chronojet, so definitely look forward to that also. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.